Welcome, welcome, welcome to our shift talk on our Wednesdays. I want to introduce myself to some of you for the very first time. I am Latanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, Passion, and Profits. And I am excited about bringing my dear sister on the platform for you today. Now, for many of you, you'll be eavesdropping because this is really, it's very easy to talk to someone you share a spiritual walk, a spiritual journey with. So I hope that you will be able to benefit. But this has been long overdue. I would do an injustice to fully go through her entire bio, which you can look at in the comments section or in the show description. But this woman is a maverick in many ways. Um, she is, if I just work backwards, she has had over what, 20, 25-year, 30-year career in media. She is a minister, an author, a mother, now a grandmother. She is a quintessential sister friend. She is doctor, elder, minister, like all of these amazing things that she's done in her life. I'd like to present to some, introduce to others, my dear friend, Elder Vikki Johnson, Dr. Elder Vikki Johnson.
Hello, big sister goddess Latanya,
How are
Rev
you doing?
Coach, turning blind spots into breakthroughs.
Oh my goodness. Yes, a little bit of that.
My shiro, all the things.
Oh
Your
my
reflection.
Well, it takes one to know one, for so many. It's funny, you call me big and I call you big, and it's a great balance. So do you want to I already know Spirit gave me, like, okay, how are we going to talk, stay in one little lane when our relationship expands through so many different things. And so I'm going to talk to you in a minute about the seasons. I'm going to go through seasons because hopefully that'll bring us to the season that you're in now, and people can walk through and find themselves in whatever season they're in. But for now, just tell the folks a little bit more about you, and who you are in the world.
Wow, that's loaded. Well, first of all, Latanya, thank you for this opportunity. We've been talking about it for a long time. And I was determined, do you hear me? Capital Determined, not to reschedule, and so I am in a season, literally and figuratively, metaphorically and demonstratively today, where I'm just going with the flow, right? I'm in a season where I'm following peace. I get in a current and I go with the current, not against the current. Things are happening, life is lifing, and I like to say God is Godding. And I have grown to that place where I absolutely trust in the abundance of provision and protection and peace that surrounds my life in spite of what's going on, around me, in relationships with family. So where I am in my life right now is I'm focused on legacy. It's all about impacting the world, leaving an imprint wherever I go in a positive and powerful, transformative way to the best of my abilities. I'm all about spiritual growth, my own first, and then outwardly, I'm all about sacred sisterhood. I am the sister I intend to be and practice being the sister that I want to attract. And so I'm really intentional about that. And then soul wealth, which is vision, compassion, authenticity, abundance, and legacy. Again, first in my life and then in the lives of others. So I'm in a good place. I have peace. That doesn't mean things aren't happening. It seems like somebody I know has passed away every day in the last 2 weeks. It's like it's intense out here.
Mhm.
Yet I trust God, and I got this message last week to get in position and stay there.
Mm.
Get in position and stay there. So that looks different for me on a daily basis, whether I'm in position on behalf of my family, on behalf of my daughter, my son in law, my grandson, on behalf of my sisters, my friends, the women that I'm honored and privileged to mentor through my swim tribe, whether that's at my job, where I am on the film team working for the district government in the mayor's office of entertainment, and whether that's through my podcast, where I'm interviewing other people or being a guest on somebody else's platform. And then I had the audacity to take another position um, adjacent to all of that in an area and space I'm really passionate about, the Sunrise Project, and that's SON Rise Project, which is a nonprofit mental health organization supporting Black families around anxiety, depression, addiction challenges, ADHD, all of the things. And so I'm living a full life. And my tagline when I end my show is live full so you can die empty.
Mhm.
And that's what I do every day. I endeavor to do that every day in a way that honors my relationships, that honors me, that honors God. And don't get it twisted. I get my sleep. Okay. I go to sleep at night. So self-care is a big part of all of those things. So I'm really blessed. I'm grateful and just excited to be here on this platform because shift happens all the time, and just so proud of you and how you're showing up in the world too. So
Thank you.
that's a little bit.
I can tell this shift has happened because you're interviewing in the car. I don't even want to ask. We'll talk offline.
Yeah, like I said, I was capital determined, right?
No,
I was
I
like, yeah,
appreciate
I'm not, some things just happened today where I had to take care of me. I'm actually literally sitting outside of my doctor's office and have been here all morning.
Oh,
But I'm good. I'm
okay.
good. I'm fine. And
Okay.
I was not going to reschedule this. I was like, I'm going to go sit right in my car on my purple seats that match your theme and your brand colors. So I'm in a I am in congruence and
Yeah.
on brand today. But this is what
Oh.
I'm talking about. As
Mhm.
life happens, you go with it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was a choice. I could have acquiesced to it, but I was like, we go with the flow and we
Yes.
show up. And that's what I model because that's really what I believe. You show up.
Mhm. Mhm. And I tell you, this is there's so many directions again that our conversation could go. And the title of our show was Religion and Spirituality, Permission to Grow Unapologetically. So I want to focus on the permission to grow because um, I want to start with your journey. And in that, I think people who are still sitting on the fence between their religiosity, their spirituality, or they're afraid of some of the things that maybe you've embraced. Before we get there, how did you get there? Like, can you tell us a little bit? I want to talk about the season of being from Florida as a basketball player, because you'll get this season's analogy as a sportswoman.
Absolutely. I actually have on my Howard basketball alumni t-shirt. And so that
I was
question is
gonna wear
really,
Southern. I was gonna wear Southern today. I promise
yeah,
I
I have on my Howard alumni, Howard basketball alumni
was.
t-shirt.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I will say it really started with my relationship with my grandmother. I was very, very close to my maternal grandmother. I spent a lot of time with her. And she made me so comfortable and feel so safe being a curious child. She answered my questions. She was so gentle yet firm and strong, courageous, raising a big family, tons of grands and great grands. So spending time with her really anchored me, and she anchors me to this day.
Wow.
Whenever I have a reading, whenever I've, had an ancestral experience, she's the first one to show up.
And listen at you talking about a reading and an ancestral experience. You got to bring the people in. Like, how did you get there? Come on now. You can't just talk about readings
Oh,
and ancestral experiences knowing that you are the elder Vikki Johnson, traveling the world preaching in some very traditional spaces.
yeah. My spiritual father, now Archbishop Ralph Dennis, said to me, God allowed you to experience what he hates because God trusts you to give him what he loves. That's
Mhm.
been my journey. So I've been mentored in a lot of ways in things that I choose not to, I'm going to use the word inflict on other people.
Mhm.
We're programmed, we're conditioned, and I am in a place now where I am very clear and understand that even our faith and how we experience God as Black people has
Mhm.
been gentrified,
Ooh,
right?
ooh,
And
ooh.
you look at gentrification in many different ways. We all witnessed the broke dancing that showed up as break dancing at the Olympics
Oh
and
my goodness.
the conversation around that. And I was observing a thread on LinkedIn among some academicians around that conversation about culture. And I remember thinking when I saw who was a part of the breakdancing competition, like, where are the Black people? How can there not be any Black people in the breakdancing competition when it was born in Brooklyn, in the Bronx? Like, where are the Black people?
You bringing
Right?
it already today, okay?
So, a comment that was made that really struck me was, you cannot appropriate authenticity. You can't take something that's not yours, that's not who you are, that's not rooted and grounded in your DNA,
Mhm.
wrap it in some theory, and then call it yours. So, back to your question about faith and spirituality, I
Yes.
believe with all my heart that is what happened to our experience as Black people of who God is. My mother has a whole lot of brothers. All of them are metaphysicians. All of them.
Mm.
My great grandfather was a medicine man. My great grandmother, who I am named after, was a full blooded Cherokee Native American woman. My grandfather's mother was a Creek Native American woman. I'm originally from Florida. My grandmother and my grandfather grew all of their food in the backyard.
Mhm.
My grandmother was very metaphysical. She spoke it, she talked about it. She was saying the word ancestors when I was a little girl. But when you don't have a framework to know where to plug that piece in,
Mm.
then you have to live it. You have to walk it out and then experience the gaps so
Mm.
that when you start to remember, I remember, our friend Kirk Nugent, I know you've talked to him a lot. And
Yeah.
that poem he put out years ago, I Need You to Remember,
That one. Yes, that one.
like, I started remembering, Latanya. I started remembering. And then I stayed curious and started asking questions like, where does this fit? What does this mean? Why is this coming to me? It means something because it's working for me.
Mhm.
Um, my mother, we had the daily word. I was reading the daily word and I was 8 and 9 years old.
Right.
My mother has the original hardback copy of A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, the original book. Wayne Dyer was everywhere. Louise Hay all over the house. But I'm going to a traditional Baptist church.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother was in the AME church.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that God shows up in everything in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And in my heart, I want all of that. I don't want to miss any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do it in a framework that's relevant and resonant with who I am as a Black woman, as a Black woman with rich, deep roots in Native ancestry. I'm from the Igbo tribe in Nigeria. Like, we talk about ancestry all the time in my family. So I'm all of those things. And how I get to express God through me, as me, shows up as the mosaic of all those things. All those things.
I actually, listening to you, got chills. I feel emotion because we've been friends a long time. And to hear you declare that so openly and unapologetically, um, I know you weren't always there. So how did you get to this point of faith and freedom?
Suffering, struggling, like that, asking questions. I'm very curious. Like and you know what started it for me? I remember it was like I got this download because honestly, Latanya, when I was a child, I thought I was an alien.
Yeah, me too.
I used to lay in the grass in the front yard and stare at the sky. I remember this vividly. And talk to the sky and say, "When are y'all coming back to get me? Because I'm not supposed to be down here."
Right. Earth is
I
ghetto.
was 8, 9, 10 years old. And I'm serious. Like, I was very serious. I I just knew, like, I'm not from here. Like, y'all stop playing. Like, when are y'all coming to get me? And so consequently, I felt very much, I now know the word, I felt very much like an outlier as a child. I never fit in. I never fit in.
Anybody can relate in the comments. Raise your hand. Don't leave your sister out there. Drop a one, raise your hand. That's how we do in community. If you can relate, if you're watching on Instagram and you can relate to being the outlier, another name is black sheep, weirdo, creative, all those other things.
The
Okay.
thumb, I used to say I was the thumb.
Okay.
Yet my grandmother always cuddled me.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt a sense of safety and my questions and my curiosity. I have family members who are very comfortable in this space, and they've always been. So I am remembering still those times and those days. So I feel like it is coming full circle. So how did I get here? I know I said suffering. Like, even being in traditional spaces and stuff not making sense. Like, that don't make no sense. What do you like? If God is all these things that you all say, then why are people so broken and sad and mad? Like, what kind of God is this? This not working for me. So I began to backtrack from church, not God, church. And when I stepped back, I was like, okay, we getting ready to walk this out. because I've always been a dreamer. When I was again, I keep going back to this 8, 9, 10 year old age. Even my family members said I was psychic. They didn't call me prophetic. They would use words like, "You a little witch." Like, how did you know that was gonna happen?
Yeah, right.
Um,
I get it.
how did you I would walk and I would say, "Oh, that family, they're gonna leave this neighborhood next. Oh, they're leaving next. Oh, something's gonna happen to him." Like, I would just see things and not understand it. "Oh, you psychic." What is that? To the point that when I did get to Howard University, girl, I was in the library looking for books on witchcraft. Like, what is psychic? Like, what is this? What are these words, right? We saw Miss Cleo and all those things, but I was like, I have this gift. I don't understand it. I don't know what to do with it. Nobody's talking about it. And so I really had to figure it out by walking it out and being misunderstood. My God, I was so misunderstood. I'm still misunderstood. I'm okay with it now. But, as a child, you didn't know. So at one point, I was acting out, getting in trouble. Like I had this rage and I didn't know what to do with it. And then I got introduced to basketball in the 6th grade, just
Okay.
serendipitously. So that's my word, serendipity. Because my best friend in the 6th grade, and I used to get bullied. Yeah, man, them were some mean ass girls in middle school. I'm serious. And I was the person that wanted to, like, I was nice. I didn't understand it. Like, why are they being so mean to me? Like I didn't get that. And now I know it was preparation for who I am and who I get to be today. But I had a friend, we're still friends today. Sean, her maiden name is Dean, her last name is Shazier. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because her son is Ryan Shazier from the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Like, she was my friend, and we're still friends, sisters. And she
Mhm.
said, "Let's try out for the basketball team."
Mhm.
And I said, "Okay." And I remember having the thought, well, I sure hope we both make it. So I'm highlighting that because even then I was thinking about my sister, right? Okay, yeah. I hope we both make it, and we both made it. And then my dad became the coach.
Wow.
Like, so it was like God was looking out for me even when I didn't know that's what it was. Like, when I reflect back and I remember, I just had this sense of safety all the time.
Mm.
So I made the basketball team, and my dad was taking me to the park on the weekends, shooting free throws and layups and suicides. Like, so from the age of about 12, I just became regimented as an athlete and mindful of what I put in my body, how I'm working out, and then it just continued. So I've always been curious. I've always asked questions. And then it has always somehow come back to spirit and God and my connection to God. Like, I see God in everything.
Ashe.
I hear messages in everything, a movie, a billboard, a conversation. So it's like a mosaic, Latanya. Like, my life feels like a mosaic
Mhm.
where God has put people in place when I was ready to include you, to include you. And I ain't like you sometimes. I ain't like you sometimes. Like, and I know I probably got on your nerves too. I know I did. That's why I said in the description about today, this is like a full circle moment because you were pushing me. And I know it was God pushing me. Like, you need this experience. You're like, you need to do flow. You need to come do this. I was like, what is that? Who are these people? Oh, I remember one of those prostitutes, girl. I was so mad. I was like, they better get out of my face. You know, that what do you want? Girl, they better get I was so mad at you. I was like, why would she send me here? These people are bullying me again. So it's been a series of what I will liken to communion and the bread. You take the bread, you bless it, you gotta break it before you can give it. And I feel like in many chapters and seasons of my life, I was the bread where I got a blessing and I was taken from that place of blessing and I was broken open. And then God gave me. And then when I exhausted my capacity there,
Mm,
He'll take me and then bless me in another dimension, break me open, which feels like brokenness. It feels like pain. It feels like being all the things that
mhm,
get your attention and constrain you to
mhm.
slow down, stop, ask questions. Okay, what does this mean? Why am I here? What's the
Yeah.
lesson I need to learn so I can move forward? So, the other point of spirituality that I'll mention is my very first research paper in middle school was on the stages of death and dying.
Mm.
Why? I don't know. I was just fascinated with it. I didn't want to be in mortuary science or anything like that, but I was really fascinated with what happens to people when they die as a child. Like this ain't normal childhood stuff. This is what I'm saying to you. I've always been now we call people unicorns and all of that, but
Yes.
I would I would have these knowings and these downloads and these questions like where did that come from? That
Yeah.
here it is. That's not normal. You're not normal.
Yes.
So the undoing of that narrative, even that for me had to be deconstructed. And as it was being deconstructed, it created capacity for me to receive wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to show up as who I am today. And I know that was a long answer, but I was remembering as I was talking to you.
Well, I want to focus on the part that you said ready, when the things would come to you when you were ready. And you also just mentioned deconstruction. And I know for both of us, in terms of our religious recovery, even though they were different journeys, there wasn't a whole lot of deconstruction type of ministries. There wasn't a whole lot of deconstruction type of references. Many of us had to do it alone, or we had to take the risk of being different. What were some, like, give me 3 points of religious tenets that you had to deconstruct that freed you up to be able to be more spiritual or practice more of your spiritual. Could you give three? I know there probably are more, but I want to help somebody else who is on the fence about something.
Yeah. So one is that I did not need permission to pursue God. That was big, especially as a woman, because I was doing like youth messages and stuff like that as a child. We would have every second Sunday was youth Sunday. So on youth Sundays, I would do the youth message. So I knew I had a aptitude for speaking and public speaking. A
Mm-hmm.
preacher, that wasn't my pursuit. I didn't pursue ministry. I wasn't walking around saying, "Oh, I'm called to preach. I'm gonna be a national evangelist and try." That wasn't my thing at all. And I come from a lineage of preachers. As a matter of fact, my grandmother's uncle was one of the founding bishops of the AME Church. And there's a church in Atlanta, Georgia, Flipper AME is a family church, right? So ministry wasn't a thing for me, but that I did not need permission to pursue God. That's one. Number two, I would say not accepting something just because somebody from the pulpit said it, like as a belief. Because when I heard something that literally just did not make sense to me, Be like, where did you get that from? Like, who told you that? That doesn't even make sense. Why would you say that? Right? But this is the one right here. Because I'm blackety black, black, black. I'm fair skinned like my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, but I'm pro black. I'm not anti nobody else. I'm just pro black. Blackety black, black, black. Like I almost studied sociology with a focus on African American studies when I was at Howard. And that was my first experience with Minister Louis Farrakhan. My professor, Dr. Herbert West, he said, "You're going to go with me. We're going somewhere on this day at this time. So meet me here." I met him there and he took me to the Kennedy Center. He said, "Dress up a little bit and we going out. I want you to experience something." Like I was deep in it.
Mm-hmm.
And girl, I look up and we on the stage sitting behind Minister Louis Farrakhan at the Kennedy Center. I was like, what? What? Went to the reception. Like, I was like, whoa. That was a different lens for me, right? That opened my mind. So after that, here it is. How did Black people connect to God before King James wrote the Bible?
Come on
See, them
now.
the kind of questions I ask.
Yes.
And none of the preachers I knew could answer the question. I still ask that question just to play with people.
Right.
Because what it did was it opened my mind to ask questions. Like, that's a real question. So before King James wrote the Bible, all our ancestors went to hell? Like, what? What happened? How did they connect to God? You mean they had to look at the sky and the sun and the moon and the stars and seasons of farming? I come from a lot of my family members are in rural Georgia. They're farmers. Like,
Okay.
now they say, make it make sense.
Right.
And it did not make sense.
Right.
So that was the beginning. That question right there is what started me, in addition to all of those other examples I gave. But that question sent me on a quest. And then being connected to Archbishop Ralph Dennis, because he's an outlier also. He don't call himself a numerologist, but he's a mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he can link numbers that many people call numerology, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna call it mathematics,
Mm-hmm.
numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah. So then God started connecting me to other outliers, so it was great. Yeah.
So you just said something very interesting, and you all can participate in this exercise in the comments. You said he doesn't call himself a numerologist, but he's a mathematician. You said earlier they didn't call it prophetic; they called it psychic. Then, what are
Psychic. Yep.
some of the things that are the same thing, but the church calls it something different for somebody who is still out there judging and that type of thing? Throw a few things out there that people sometimes don't recognize that it's the same thing.
Prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
word of wisdom, word of knowledge is
Mm-hmm.
the same as somebody giving you a reading, giving you a numerology report. If I just say I hear the Lord saying versus I hear spirit saying,
Yes. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's the same thing.
I posted a clip in the event thread where people are discussing. It was a stitch of someone who said, "Christians, we don't do ancestors. That's demonic." And I was like, wow. And so, of course, the person who stitched it did an excellent job, but it was like, I wonder how colonized and how much witchcraft has to happen for an entire race of people to look at their own ancestors as demonic. That's some serious brainwashing,
Yeah.
some serious colonizing. Yet those same people will call other folks witches. So I'm sure you probably got that question a lot doing hanging out with me.
Not really though. Not
Okay.
really. If people thought it, they didn't. They never said it. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Um, and I didn't really create a lot of space for people to ask me questions like that.
Well, let's talk about that in terms of sisterhood, because I think when we met, I was teaching in a workshop called "Can You
You
Hear?"
sure was in the back of the room.
Yes. And so when we look at that meeting, what was it that you heard that made you say, you know how you do that thing? You do this thing like, I'm gonna talk to you. We're gonna be friends.
It was just I will say, I can't remember what you said, Latanya. It was just the frequency and vibration of your words. And I remember thinking, because people have said this to me, you know, she knows something. She knows something. And I want to talk to her. It was just, some people would say a chance meeting, but it was another moment of serendipity for me.
Yeah, it definitely was serendipitous for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Because
That's what it was.
I've been both the black sheep, or at least I had a black sheep story. I don't know that it's altogether true now, but that was what it felt like for most of my life. But then it didn't help that I took the uncommon path, the road less traveled. What are some of the roads less traveled that you've dared to take as a minister, as a faith leader, as a pastor of women? Oh my goodness, as an author, as one who sings, now you're playing singing bowls in girl. I mean, I'm proud. Come on, give some
Mhm.
love to my sister who is, if she's your mentee, give her some love if you're proud, if she gives you courage, or if you've been watching her from afar and you admire her. Put it in the comments. We call this a word bath, put it in the comments so I can put it on the screen, because oftentimes we don't get a chance to see this because people called us, what did they call us, twin souls or something at one point,
Twin
and it's,
flames.
yeah.
Yeah.
But go
Twin
ahead,
flames.
let me not add a
Oh,
question to.
wait a minute. Then I gotta throw in here the sister goddesses, right? I was like, what does Latanya have me doing? What? Like, you gotta do this. You gotta do this. It's just gonna unlock something in your femininity. I was like, what in the what is this? And I'm saying that for those who are listening, because we all need people who will stretch us beyond our comfort zone. You have been that for me. I'd be like, Latanya, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. And you'd be like, okay, well, you should really think about it. It will benefit you. I'm not doing that. Girl, and I did it twice. It was so nice. I did it twice. And took what I needed, met some amazing people. And yeah, you are just like the gift that keeps on giving. And I will say here publicly, you know, I had to, for a season, I had to lose that to appreciate it and then bring it back and put it in the right place.
Hmm. Wow.
So, yeah, just thank you for, I've said this to you privately, so I don't mind saying it publicly. Just thank you for being willing to risk letting me back in.
Look, I am
I
not. I
appreciate
was
that.
not trying to be doing no crying. These lashes off.
Well, I just need to say it publicly because I've said it to you privately a few times. And it is a significant price that you have paid being misunderstood to become who you are for so many people. And you, in many cases in my life, have been a lighthouse for me, even when I didn't agree, when I didn't want to hear it. Honey, you used to be like, well, blah, 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 blah. Honey, you was fixing my life before Mama Ia was doing it on network. You was fixing lives. You was like being a baby, her, all over the place. We just didn't know what to call it. And I'm just grateful for life and grace and favor and opportunity to have this full circle moment to come back and give you honor because it's due you and there's more coming, your way, because you are such a wise woman, like so wise and so gracious and so generous, even when it hurt you. So I just got to word bath you for a moment,
Oh my.
and just say thank you. And I'm so grateful for another chance. You know how we say God gave me another chance and a second, third, 10th, 20th chance, right? I'm grateful that you have given our sisterhood and friendship another chance. And yeah.
Well, I didn't expect to go here, but um I appreciate that. I appreciate, and I know that's a big deal for you to be able to say that publicly in many ways. But I think I had to let go of the need for that type of vindication to come in any way. And also, I guess it's a good segue for others to get a lesson for sisterhood, because you and I didn't have no problems. It's other people trying to intercede our love thing, but one of the things that I said to Elder Vicky, and maybe you can elaborate on this, because we call women together. How many of you lead tribes in the comments? You have a tribe, you have people you mentor. When you call women together and you call it a sisterhood, then that indicates some type of family. Well, if people have unhealed family patterns, they are bringing that into that circle. If people look at you as mama, even though you didn't ask for that, or they look at you as big sister and you didn't ask for that, a lot of times people will project their issues on to you. And so what I said to Vicky was, we got to we got to deal with this. But I come from a culture of accountability. In It was not something that you reference that much. And I know that sacred sisterhood was something so important to your heart. Like, I knew that, like, and I know I can be protective and prophetic, and I could see what was coming if we didn't. And at that time you couldn't really hear me, but if you were talking to someone else based off of what you've learned and what you've just spoken, what would you offer to a sister mad at a sister, or got somebody else in her ear about a sister? Even though I'm not saying that that's what was the case with you, I'm not saying that somebody was in your ear, because I don't even
Oh, they
believe.
were. They were.
Okay.
Like, I don't have a problem saying that. They were. And I didn't know, this is the thing. This is where self-awareness is so important. I did not really grasp the impact that those subliminal seeds were having, because it wasn't like we were sitting around talking about you. It wasn't like that. They were subliminally planted seeds,
Mm.
right? Um And I didn't realize it until the seeds had germinated and started sprouting up, you know. And I think I heard you were one of the first people I heard talk about energy vampires,
Mm-hmm.
where you take on emotion and energy and thoughts that don't belong to you. It
Mm-hmm.
was that. Like, we did not have any issues. We didn't have no issues. It was me, because I was being so open and not really understanding how to guard my heart and my mind and my spirit, taking on other people's stuff. But when I sat still and thought about it and got room to really assess, I was like, we really had no issues. Like, nothing really happened. Nothing happened. So to that sister, I would just I would admonish you to ask questions like, what did she do to me? Like, why am I mad? Like, for what? And then, if it is something, is it really that serious? Like, is it really worth losing someone that you have a divine connection with? So it was a time and space where I just didn't have much self-awareness.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't have much self-awareness. So now that I do, I can recognize it. And I had to come to that place on my own. I had to come to that place of understanding on my own. And when I did, now that I have it, I don't force perspective on anybody.
Mm.
Because, like, I had to come to that place on my own, so do other people.
Mm. Mm.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Uh-oh, she dropped. That's how powerful this conversation is. And I'm sure that many of you have had some church hurt, sister hurt, and brokenhearted relationships from sister breakups, friendship breakups, that type of thing. And so you were that powerful that you blew up. You blew
girl,
up.
I was like, what? I ain't even touched nothing. What just happened?
Well, because I didn't expect us to go here. I have been saying for the longest we should talk about that. Like, to me, that's a whole separate show, because the enemy will wear sheep's clothing. There will be people who you love, who will you have loved, you have done nothing to. And Lord knows I have had my share of heartbreak. In fact, I think that I was very naive. I didn't get why women would, anybody who's been through my Juicy program know that, like, I don't do this thing where women say I don't do women. Like, I just don't get that. My sister, and you landed in my heart like my biological sister. Your energy, your the loyalty, the safeness that I felt with you. And when I don't feel safe anymore with someone, it's huge for me, because I don't just cut people off. And by the time I do cut you off, it's like we know we've had a conversation. And when I say I don't cut people off, y'all, what I mean is some of y'all just block people. You get mad with them, you don't agree with them, they don't stream the same consciousness as you. You just cut them off. And I think this conversation is there were times where Vikki didn't always understand what I was saying. There were times when I annoyed her, and it took us, we went through a lot together. We've been in different seasons of our life, watching each other go through relationships, watching us go build brands, ministry. And, I used to travel with Vikki, and she's come to support me. I mean, so we're talking about going through something. We're not talking about just petty, I don't like her, that type of thing. But for me, for you to even bring this up, like, whew, you talk about not taking back and reclaiming yourself. Like, this is a mark of tremendous growth, because you're more introverted when it comes to this type of thing. And I'm I'll confess I'm a little thrown off.
Well, Latanya, I will say, and I'll tell you why that is. Because I really try, I intend, I practice not taking people for granted.
Ashe.
I with all the deaths happening, people slipping away from here, and I don't mean that cliche-ishly, but literally last week alone, I went to 3 funerals. If I had
Right.
the opportunity this week, I would be going to another 3 funerals. And these are people I know. People are leaving here.
Ashe.
And every time I'm sitting watching virtually or in a building at a homegoing celebration or whatever, I commit again not
Yes.
to miss opportunities and moments to let people know how I feel about them.
Mm.
Right. And not, I don't want to be at a cemetery talking to a headstone because they're not there no way.
Right. Right.
You know,
That's good
and
right there.
I want to make sure people know. Yeah, Vikki loved me. Vikki appreciated me.
Whew, that touches me.
I want people to know that. And conversely, I'm talking about other people dying. I don't know when I'm gonna be called.
Right. 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 Right.
So it works that way too.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
Vikki, you talk about all the time you want to live full and die empty. Okay. Well, this is a
Yes.
part of dying empty too. I want to make
Yeah.
sure I'm touching the people I'm supposed to touch, loving the people I'm supposed to love, pouring into people I'm supposed to pour into, right? So it's that.
Wow.
And last year and toward the year end of the year before that, I lost some very dear people. What felt like back to back. Like when
Yes.
Kathy died, that changed me. But when Paula died, oh my God, I was like,
I feel you, sister.
"That's what
I,
we
I,
doing, God.
yes. Yes.
That's what we
Absolutely.
doing." And listen, I said this to Bishop Dennis, my dad, spiritual dad. I said, Dad, I've accomplished so much and done so many things and know so many people. I feel like I'm gonna die young." And he said, "I absolutely understand what you're saying because I have felt the same way."
I
So
felt that too.
when Kathy died and when Paula died, Latanya, I'm telling you, it wasn't fear, but I went through God in my next. Like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? I was in a daze for a while. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So for me, living every day, maximizing every day, I'm not just saying that. I mean it. I mean
Wow.
it.
Yeah. Another spiritual connection, an outlier that we have in common to underscore this conversation is Bishop Carlton Pearson.
Oh my goodness. Peace is
Remember?
possible.
Right. And so when he last year when he made his transition, something shifted in me as well. And I thought about all the conversations that I had with him privately about some of the work that we were going to do with some of our friends, Vikki.
Yeah.
Our friends who are still on the fence or who are hiding their spirituality because their church can't handle it, their congregation can't handle it, or at least the stories. And Bishop Pearson and I had a whole plan. We had a whole plan. And it felt like unfinished. The scripture, he who has begun a good work in you shall complete it. And it felt so incomplete to me with him. And we would talk every now and then, but somewhere along the way, I kind of went in the, like you say, in the direction of flow. But all of the things about me as Reverend Latanya Taylor that I had resisted came back to me in the last few weeks of his life. And I thought
Mhm.
about you and us and the things that we wanted for our sisters, because I want for my sisters what I want for myself. And so when you said that, and then right after, and this was after Iyanla had just lost her daughter, that was hard for us. I don't care what you see in the front. We just have tools and skills. After that, I lost several other people. So I get that. And I do think it touches me deeply that you would even talk about this public, because I love you so much that I would, it wasn't necessary. Your journey has been enough. The seasons that you've been through, the things that you have lived through, the fact that you can still stand and preach, but then you can come and meditate or do singing bowls or burn incense, or, or come to something else that I might invite you to. The fact that's there, you are demonstrating, or you are a testimony right now that you don't need permission to grow when you embrace spirituality. In closing, in terms of looking at what religiosity does to us, is there anything that comes up for you to just offer freestyle?
Freedom ain't free. Freedom ain't free. It's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you something. What you're describing is me operating in a place of freedom. And I really feel like I'm just at the beginning of my freedom. Like there's so much more. And I'm sure it's costing me. I'm sure it has costed me relationships. I'm sure it has costed me preaching engagements and opportunities to minister. But the resolve that I have is the peace that I have. I'll share this in closing. When I was doing my sound bowl healing certification with Dana Smith, shout out Dana at Spiritual Essence Yoga.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she's one of my gurus. I was in class and she came up to me at a break right after she had a really bad coughing spell. And she said, you have to do this work, Vikki. I said, yeah, I know, okay, yeah, I know. She was like, no, no, you have to do this work. Your ancestors are telling me to tell you, you have to do this work. They left this work in your hands. You're the one. You have to do this work. And she said, remember when I was coughing and I had to get up and walk out? She said, I was
Mm-hmm.
coughing because I couldn't breathe. And when I got up and walked out, your people, that's what she said, your people were like, tell her she has to do this work. And I was like, I'm not telling her that. She don't know me like that. I'm not going to say that to her. And she said, and your people said, well, you're not going to breathe then.
Oh, I get that.
And she said, I said, okay, I'll tell her. And so I'm here telling you. I said, I received that, and I don't think you're weird. That's probably my grandmother leading the pack because she comes to me all the time. And then the next day, I came into the closing class day with a purple t-shirt on. Purple t-shirt. And she came in and she said, your people are trip, Vikki. I said, what now, Dana? She said, you see all these blue completion strings I have on my wrist that I'm going to give out at the end of class today? I have all these blue strings and I got one purple string. Because this morning when I was cutting the strings, your people said, but you're going to give Vikki a purple one.
Oh my goodness.
And then I walk in here and you got on a purple t-shirt. Now that might seem insignificant to people
Yeah.
listening,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, that was God affirming for me. You are walking the path I have laid out for you. And along the way, even though all your life it feel like you had to fight because you've been misunderstood, I have people in place as evidence that I am with you.
Ashe.
Baby, that Emmanuel, God with us, that's I want that. I was like, got it. So I'm gonna walk out Job 22. I'm gonna agree with God quickly so I can have peace and good continue to come to me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's my life. That's my assignment. That's my mission. That's my joy. This is my love right here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
so
you
I'm grateful. I'll end with I am grateful.
you do remember that you are one who tells other people stuff like that. You got to do this work. You got to speak. And when you don't
Yeah.
speak, Tanya, you are holding such and such and such and such. You, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. Because sometimes we forget.
But
But
you've
it
been
really
that.
is just me being me. You know what I mean? It's just me being who I am. And yeah, God surrounds us with people to remind us when we forget.
Well, I want to pull other folks into the conversation before I fully let you go because there are
Okay.
some people who started with a word bath and they did say some beautiful things for you. This is from Bessie, who, some of the sisters in our community, we share. So y'all know that if you're in the Rebirth community, Vikki is auntie. If you're in the Soul Wealth community, I'm auntie or sister. So this is one of them, Bessie. I've been a follower of Dr. Vikki for many years, starting with the beginning of Real Women. Wow.
Awesome.
And she's a juicy butterfly. I think that's Bessie.
Awesome.
I think that's Bessie. In Leslie says knowledge and appreciate divine connections. Uh, Chantel said, "Goodness, my goodness, my heart hurts." I think she was talking about when we were talking about the sisterhood part of the conversations.
Mm.
Uh, Karen said, "Headstones don't talk back." um, Michelle says, "You two bring so much truth, love to us and me, encompassed with real life tools, and you all bring your all. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this tribe. You two touch me so much with this. Oh, give thanks.
Oh,
Give thanks. This is good to me." Let me see. Tamara said, "Yes, I love that. Love this. We are in the season of surrender, letting shit go. We need our sacred sisterhood. Oh, we need it more than ever right now in this season that we're in. We need spiritual community more than ever. More than ever. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Don't, and be careful and leery of women who don't do women. Usually they have a deep hurt. Or be careful of women who get online and talk about women. Be careful of that. Other entrepreneurs who are so critical of other people and they are blasting, calling out. We have to be careful of call outs because, one, why would we hurt another woman's business just because we're hurt? Many of you didn't know anything happened between Elder Vikki unless you were a part of some type of gossip circle that she and I wasn't even a part of. You didn't know that. We didn't pull you into any of that. It was for us to work through. You may have sensed it, you may have felt some of it, but yeah, everything does not have to be a big old show, y'all. So let me keep going. I know I'm on the right page because I've been doing all this, but I feel like I'm about to burst. Oh, okay. You want to speak to that, Elder Vikki? Feeling like I'm about to burst?
let it break open. Because after breakdown, you break open into a new normal. That's how you grow, right? You break open, you're breaking open. So the bursting is good.
Ashe. And this is my sister from Intervisions who you also met. And when another sister made her transition, remember you met Reverend Kelly?
Yep.
And
Yep.
you all were standing in the gap. She said,
Yep.
"This has been a beautiful share. Love you both," and co-sign what I've heard.
Hi,
This is
Kelly.
beautiful. This has been very heart opening for me. I'm so blessed that I was able to hear this. Thank you both for your sacrifices and your blessings. Yeah, so if there's any questions from anything that you've heard today, drop your question in the comments for Elder Vikki and I before we close out. This is a sacred space, a safe space. Vikki, I do this exercise with everybody. Dr. Vikki, excuse me, I just I call her VJ, y'all. But
Fine.
um I want to give you a word and you give what comes to you when I give you the word. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Purpose.
Life.
Mm, okay. And you can say a sentence or whatever comes to you, but just life.
Yeah, life.
Okay. Pleasure.
Significance, life, significance, and meaning come to
Okay. All
mind.
right. All right. And
Hmm.
now pleasure.
I deserve it.
I know that's right. Passion.
Can't live without it.
Profits.
Abundance is my birthright.
Ashe. And of course, anything on soul wealth that you want to close out with, because it's one of my favorite things. A lot of times I have this connection with Pastor Anika and you. Sometimes I won't look at y'all stuff because folks will think, the messy people will think they copying. But when you are in sync with somebody, they can literally be getting downloads because you're tuned and tapped into a frequency. It's
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah,
And
it's the
so
same stream of consciousness. Absolutely.
same, and so Anika and I would
Mhm.
just always be like, girl. Now it was never a thing with us, but it was, come on, like for real. But yeah, let's soul wealth.
Limitations don't exist. We create them.
Ooh.
So our emotional wellness and wealth and riches is our birthright, and we deserve that. And your
Mhm.
life, your experiences can only be as healthy as your emotions. So that's what soul wealth is, getting your emotions together, practicing emotional regulation to protect your nervous system so that you
Mhm.
can enjoy your joy.
Ashe.
Yeah, life is meant to be lived and joy is meant to be enjoyed.
Whew, that's good right there. Well, Elder Vikki, Elder Dr. Vikki, Dr. Elder Vikki, my sister VJ, I gotta have you back either for a part two or on
I love
Sunday.
to.
I want to tell you this. The last time that we were together, as you know, was in a private space, but something cracked open in the heavens from that moment to the moment that I arrived in Atlanta. I have so much to tell you that has happened from that
Wow.
moment, that decree, that declaration. And I've just been waiting. Now my tribe kind of knows a little bit about it, but I have to say that our soul connection and everybody that was in that room, the soul connection is so powerful that it absolutely is a demonstration and a signal from the ancestors that we are on the right track. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to share this with you.
I
You
can't wait
probably
to hear
won't
it.
be you probably won't be surprised, and all of that. So you all, we meet now on Rebirth Sunday has returned, and we meet on monthly on the first Sunday. And so I want to invite you to just drop a one in the comments to be a little persuader if you want to hear from Elder Vikki on a Sunday in our safe space of Rebirth Sunday. It
Mhm.
just drop a one. So they're saying that they are full. People said they need this like air. Enjoy your day. Thank you, my sisters. So I want to thank you for coming on. It's been way too long. I know we make magic together, and I'm looking forward to the magic of what God is doing in us, as us, and through us. I love you so much, Elder
I
Vikki, and
love you
there's
too.
about it. And it's the same for everyone who's watching in our community. Share this, like this. Don't be stingy with this. And if you can go back, if you say, wait a minute, this was Vikki's turn for me to ask her the questions. I've been on Vikki's show. So, hey, cousin, I see you. Share this, like this. I hope that you got something from this. And if you want to see Elder Vikki again, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. All right,
Oh, I
y'all.
got
I'll
one
see
more thing to say.
you.
I got one
Sure.
more thing to say. I know
Okay.
earlier I said the word ass. Ass is in the Bible.
If
I
they
just
gonna be
needed to say that. I just
if they
needed to say
gonna be
that.
a fly on the wall of the conversations, you wouldn't have to do that. But
Listen, listen, the Lord helped me today and showed me restraint and self control. Helped me exercise self control. But that little thing slipped out. But then the Lord was like, don't worry, baby. That's in the Bible.
well, your sister over here, the Rev Coach, I'm not apologizing for when I say any. I'm
I
doing
didn't
better.
apologize. I didn't
Oh,
apologize. I was just
right
giving
there
some
with you.
context for people who may have been a little shocked. That's all. I'm not apologizing.
Oh,
I'm just giving some context, and some laughter because laughter is medicine. And sometimes medicine that we take shocks us, but it's good for us.
Ashe. Well,
Yeah.
I love you, Elder Vikki. You are family. My
I love you
sister
too.
has you on speed dial. My mama asks about you every time.
Mama Della. Yeah.
Yes, and so I just love you, and there's nothing you can do about. I'll see you on the other side. You don't have to hang up from here. I'm going to end the stream. If you're
Okay.
watching again, like this, comment, share. If you are watching on Facebook, this is really just to wet your whistle and remind you. But the main stream, it will not be on Facebook weekly. I'm just doing this because y'all are addicted to Facebook, and when I try to move you off of Facebook, we always end up right back here. So I'm just inviting you to subscribe to YouTube and for us to connect in community. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being you.